Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Teeaboo, and if you're in the United States, today is Thanksgiving. And I expect that most people won't expect me to record today, but for years I've made a point of trying when I can to record on holidays, especially holidays that are about connection and community, because I spent a lot of my life without having that, not having it at all. And, in those times, having media to engage with was one of the things that made me feel connected to humanity as a whole. Whether that was YouTubers whose voices are my backdrop, or it was anime whose art populates the backs of my eyelids, connection with other human beings during times where everyone else seems to feel connected as though it's easy for them, has been something that's really important to me. So if I can be that and pay it forward, I feel the need to. We're focusing on a character that also doesn't have many connections, and I'm not sure how to tie it together. We've sent him off from everything that he knows, and now he's destined for a place that evokes real dread. The place that people who don't belong go. A prison island, which is really fucking cool and absolutely crazy and totally fantastical, right? Except that we've actually done prison islands for like a long time. It's a really smart way to do a prison. You just throw a bunch of people on an island and you don't have to worry about them anymore. And if it goes anything like I suspect, there will be a whole lot of horror here. The despair of the situation didn't really hit me until a couple of days ago. But for the last couple of days, I've been thinking about it. I think it took a little bit of time for the despair of the situation to really sink in for me. And I'm grateful for that time. I missed last week's recording because of some stuff happening with a little puppy and things, and she's fine, everything's going to be great, but it got really complicated. And the time in between actually let the feel of it seep a little deeper into me. And it was something that I was able to brush off earlier, but now it kind of scares me to my bones. And I feel the need to try to share this because it scares me. The scenes of torment of Joe being tortured in prison have seeped in, and I can't help but find myself, like, putting myself in his shoes, almost intrusively. Like, I'm able to pull myself away from these thought processes, but I find my mind returning to it again and again, like, gosh, what horror. Like when you've got an injury in your mouth and you keep tonguing at it, you just can't help but go back and feel it. It's like that's happening inside my mind. It's like, here's a scene, you're held down and people get to torment you as much as they want. What do you do? And I've come to a place where I don't have an answer for that internally. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't have an easy out. I don't have a quip. I don't have some, like, obvious solution. It's not easy like that. And it took the time in between for that to sink in. And as I was thinking and ideating this yesterday, that, wow, it took all this time for me to start really engaging emotionally with this thing that's difficult to engage with emotionally. I wonder why. I wonder how shut off I am from the concept of my own helplessness, the despair that could evoke. And in thinking about that, I started thinking about the value of this medium being separated out by time, by the importance and really the integral nature of having episodes be spaced out week by week, and how much that is changing in the modern day, and how much I think that's changing the way we engage with anime and the way anime gets produced and what anime like feels like and actually consists of. So I don't have a cohesive theory right now, but I have the beginnings of some intrigue and some wonder at the emotional journey that's happened inside me as I've kind of metabolized these ideas and crunched them down and actually tried to turn them into sustenance, and found that I'm they're poison. They're poison. It's poison. I don't know what to do with it. I need more of the show in order to figure it out, maybe. There's something really cool about that, and I can't help but be reminded of a moment in the show itself, because I love to think of things when they stack layer by layer. When the thing happening between me and the show is the same thing happening within the show between characters, and if that's then happening like as an element of the way that the show is being produced inside the minds of the creators, then suddenly there are some layers like layered together to make something stronger. It feels stronger to me. It feels like there's something more important about the ideas present. So I was thinking about the scenes that we talked about of Dante swinging the pickaxe. We keep going back to it over the course of this one episode, really over the course of a few episodes. Dante swings the pickaxe. We go over Joe's doing stuff. We go over Dante swinging the pickaxe and being like, Joe, you can do it, Joe. Okay? How many times do we have to swing the pickaxe, and how many times do we have to return to it? In sort of a modernist idea of media, I think you go for concise. You go for like one time with the pickaxe, maybe twice because you want to repeat it and get it into your audience's mind and really cement it. 3 if you're feeling crazy. But we go back like 40 times to Dante and the pickaxe. And it does something. It's different because of that. It's anchored in me. It feels more. I feel it more. I'm connected to it more. And then the episode ends, and I have a week to wait for the next episode, just like I would have if I was sitting watching these airing on TV. It airs, I get to discuss it with my friends in a flurry of excitement, I get to think thoughts about it, and then it goes into the background, and I have to, like, eat and sleep and walk around and acquire nutrients and stuff, you know? Like, I gotta go scam orphans. Come on, guys, we got business to do. We got things to do. And in that time when it's relegated to the background, the mind is working on it. The mind is working on it. And I think we lose that when we watch things back to back to back to back. Not to say that I'm not going to watch episodes of Joe back to back. I'm not to say that there's not value in being able to consume something at the rate that you're ready for it. But I think we overestimate the rate at which we are ready for things. That's what I'm thinking is maybe a factor here. And I think that there's a type of cognition, a type of thinking that we get rid of, that we throw out with the bathwater as we pursue more. This fits in line with some ideas about our thinking processes that some fairly popular psychologists put forth. Dr. K, for example, is Healthy Gamer GG on YouTube, is very frequently he'll talk about how our minds are not made for constant information flow. How we would have one interesting interaction and then spend an entire day walking around looking for a deer, dragging the deer back home, right? Whatever. You're doing other stuff all the time. So that one, like, embarrassing moment where you slipped up in front of a girl you like, you got a lot of time to process it. And the same goes for, like, art. You see one drawing ever. You get a lot of time to process that. We don't live like that anymore. We don't live like we did a few hundred years ago, where you might read a book and then that's the only book that you can get for a long time. You might read it again, might think about it a bunch, might decide to write your own book, might write some things in counter to the book, might write some letters to some friends and get some letters back about the book that you've read. But that would take months, right? Years. Then finally you get another book and you're able to read another book and your mind explodes because there's another book out there. Crazy. But in our world, we can jump from one complicated idea to another complicated idea, and lots of our structured storytelling stuff is way more complicated than we give it credit for. But then, as we're learning in this process, something happens when you engage with it that makes the system infinitely more complicated, because now you're working on it, and you're weird. You're a whole thing. You're trying to work through that piece of media, work through those sets of ideas, work through all the fundaments of them. And it takes a lot of time for you to digest it into anything cohesive. So I wonder really what we gain then, or what we could gain then, by increasing the friction with which we engage with complicated ideas. strange. We want low friction. We want as much as possible, as fast as possible. But what if we don't actually want that? What if, just like your metabolic diet, it's really important to consume carefully in timings and give yourself a window to metabolize? This all to say, I've metabolized some weird shit out of Joe. And here's what that kind of looks like. The torture scenes of the twisted stick are replaying in me, and I keep going back to them as though they're a wound that I don't know how to reshape myself around yet. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but I think it's me coming to grips with helplessness as a concept, and as that ties in, like, pain that you can't avoid. There's malice to it, which adds this layer of incomprehensibility. It's so shocking and like, why another human to me? Because it doesn't fit in my worldview. But I'm able to sort of step out of my worldview and be like, well, okay, people don't act like that. We're chimpanzees. We tear each other apart all the time. And the scene itself it's not perfect. So I can separate myself from that confusion. There's this confusion element, and confusion is like pain. It's like, why? But, and then hone in on the physical pain aspect. It hurts. It feels difficult for me to grapple with in a way that much of the torment and pain and bloodiness and awfulness that I see all across all sorts of media has not gotten under my skin. And I'm not sure what the difference is. I'm not sure why this stands out and really, really strikes me. I'd love to know if anybody has any theories for why that scene hits so hard. And I keep focusing on it because we have had an episode between, but it's all sort of blended together, and I keep focusing on it because it's off the back of that trauma and confusion and pain that we meet that character again, heading into our next location, and he's terrified. And that seemed right. I was like, okay, that's compelling, that's cool when we ended the episode. But in the 2 weeks since, it's just become haunting. It's become haunting. The not knowing what's going to be at the island, knowing your only roadmap, your only indication of what it is that the most terrifying bad guy we've ever met is scared. That's bad, man. That's bad. So it's had time to percolate and to settle. And instead of my emotions becoming better processed and more put away, they've become more energized, more like need-inducing, like I have to know what happens next. And I wonder how much of that is, like, intentional. I said something a little bit earlier about, like, how integral is the time between episodes to their construction? How in the minds of the creators is it that we're part of a thing that flows over time? And I think in this show in particular, in Dazaki's mind in particular, it's absolutely integral. I think it's right on exactly what we're trying to accomplish. I'm going to switch gears a little bit. Joe's a piece of shit. Joe's an irredeemable dickhead. He's such a dink. Such a bad kid. So there's a part of us that I think wants him to be punished for it. That wants him to receive retribution. But because of the children's attitude toward him and how we're, over the course of episode by episode, we're drawn into the perspective of the children. Like, we embody their feelings so often. Sachi says what we're thinking so often that she becomes, there's a word for it. There's a word that I'm looking for. Like, she's the one that we project on. I forget what it is. I'm not gonna look it up. Because of that, and because of the promise of the show, that it's a story of redemption. It's about tomorrow. It's not about today's Joe. It's about tomorrow's Joe. Who could Joe be? And because of the OP, which demonstrates like a better Joe, a Joe who's actually training, who's actually fighting. Because of all these things, we have this relationship to a Joe that doesn't exist. Joe as he is, irredeemable dink. Joe, who we have a relationship to, isn't actually that person. And so we've constructed a situation that's so much like being a parent, almost, where you have a connection to this person that's not exactly logical. It's not founded in the reality of their behavior. It's founded in something emotional, something outside of them, the non-diegetic OP and ED that don't actually exist, where Joe is our hero. Hasn't happened yet. It's just a promise of what's to come. So as Joe enters prison, we've got this competing set of desires as an audience for what we want for our main character. There's some theory around this in storytelling, around like, what do we want to happen to our character and what do we need to happen in order for things to be fulfilling? Like, we need our villains to be punished to some extent. Otherwise, and I say we, broad strokes, big brushes, okay, we stop vibing with a story. It doesn't feel right anymore. It feels like wrong. Unless we're telling the kind of story where the villains don't get punished and we're learning something from that. And I'm not sure exactly what the distinction are, but there's some theory around what do we need for our character to experience, to go through, in order to feel good at the end, to feel like we fulfilled the promise of the thing. And I think right now we have a bunch of competing needs for Joe. I think we need him to get punished enough to change, but we don't want him to be destroyed because we want him to be able to become the hero. We, like Donpei, are like, Joe, your body, your mind, we don't want you to become fractured as a persona because we actually love you as this unpredictable scoundrel. We want you to retain that just within the bounds of norms. Like, you can be a little crazy, but don't break the law. You can be a little crazy, but don't exploit the innocent. You can be a little crazy, but don't go too far. So we want Joe to be, we want actually what the prison system is supposed to be. We want reform. We want him to come out of this a better version of who he still is. We don't want him to have the Joe-ness beaten out of him. Nor do we want him to get off easy. We don't want him to have an easy life. If he just shows up in the prison and beats everybody up and becomes prison king, I'm the best, it's all chill, these are all my servants now. If we flip the script and he's sitting in the position that Big Boy was in the episode a couple ago, then that doesn't work for us either. We don't just want good things for Joe. We want justice and growth that leads meaningfully and believably to change. And I think we want it because it says that it could happen to us too. I'm not exactly sure. I don't claim to understand these things entirely. I'm in the business of wondering at them, of being curious. And I'm really curious about this. Here we take Joe and we remove him completely from society and we put him somewhere else with the expectation that it will change him. We talked last episode a little bit, or maybe it was 2 ago, a little bit about the prison systems and how they were actually pretty fucking cool. And I assume that the prison that we're going into is going to be a little bit more fantastic than that. But what if it can work? Like, how can it work? What's the path that we can chart through this terrible circumstance that is, by all accounts, deserved, that leads Joe from being who he is now to a hero that we can root for? Even if it takes longer than we're ready to stomach, it's what needs to happen. How do we get there? I don't know. But I'm ready to find out. I'm ready to finally stop blathering and watch the episode. So I drew a Thanksgiving meal with some chairs at a table, and there's one chair missing because Joe's not here. So that's my drawing for the day, and let's watch Ashita no Joe. We're on episode 8, Toko Boys Detention Center. We know nothing about it, except that it's the most terrifying thing that we've been presented with. Joe's pretty good at dealing with terrifying things, though. Better than I am. Let's see how he handles this. There'll be 2 versions of this reaction video. Picture-in-picture in the description, timer on YouTube, beep timer to count you down, with early access on the Patreon. Beep timer to count you down. Takedo. Going to prison. You got dark hatching. I wonder if that's a sign of things to come. Also, I'm hoping that we name drop this guy because I've fully forgotten his name. Toko High Security Juvenile Prison. Also, 8 is... Oh shit, I feel dumb. Is that Chinese or Japanese? I think it's Chinese. We arrive at night in the darkness. It keeps it mysterious, keeps it unknown. He's chilling, but how much of it is a facade? I would be fake chilling in this situation. I'd be like, haha, everything's fine, just to try to, like, keep myself okay. So peaceful. Joe! That looks pretty bad. Yeah, he's remaining really chipper. It's a powerful defense mechanism. They tried to put a good emphasis on that door closing, but I wish that there was more. Buddy, I think we're the enemy. Do you know the enemy? Do you know your enemy? Yeah! Oh, boy. Nishi! Sping! Oh, he's got teeth. Yeah. Okay, I would start institutionalized abuse now. I don't know if anybody's watched Rainbow. This is where I'd start it. Everything seems calm and non-interactive, as though we're not people. Not talk? Huh. Hmm. Of course you would think of it. You're prisoners. It's what else are you going to think about? Yeah, okay. We get a briefing? Yeah. Shit. Okay. Yeah, add a little bit more evil laughter, could you? Thanks for telling us all the, like, factors that we need to Ocean's 11 this bitch. So, wait, they can hold you past age of majority? In a juvenile prison? Alright, okay, fine. Oh, wait, this is supposed to be like a mixed bag prison, isn't it? Hmm. It's already got a shirt open. Groups of 20. Do we have shackles? No twisted stick. So he's so terrified of what he did being done to him. Interesting. Oh, we're repeating it. Just because we need a reminder. Oito. Oto. That's really fucked up. But fair. It was nothing. I don't know, man. That was not nothing. Yeah, forbidden, huh? Here we go. Now we've got emphasis on the lock. That's right. Oh my god, you're gonna wake them all the fuck up. Are you out of your goddamn mind? Okay, you didn't wake up all the homies. Because even if they're nice, they're still gonna kick your ass if you wake them up. Oh my god. No response. Okay, honestly, I'm vibing with Nishi here. Nobody's responded. Have they not responded because they're so scared? Nobody cares, man. Yeah. Nobody's listening, Nishi. It's fine. A strange false virtue, eh? It's just fear. Whoa. Nishi's introduced as such a potent contrast. What the... Well, I knew it. There are only 20 of them. He stepped on his foot, yeah. So is he trying to provoke them? He's not gonna bow at all. No doge's off for you. He's doing a whole performance. Ah. I don't think that's true. That's true. Hmm. Uh-huh. 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 This is clever. It could work. I don't think it will. Sure did. Where I find myself in front of you, fine lot. You beautiful gentleman. Care to join me? Kill him! Kill him! I don't know whether this could go either way. This could go fully either way. Huh? That sounds ominous. I don't know what it means. What does it mean? I'm so scared. Oh, okay, it switched to rest in peace. It's very different. We fighting in the dark? Oh, yes. Doesn't even have to be a fight, though. You just gang up and smother. Shit! Okay, this could be really cool. I'm gonna shut my mouth. Oh man, they used this reverb echo on there. Wait, who's yelling cowards? Has it not gone the way they expected? Oh, No. Nah, that went badly. Welcome to Torture Town, everybody. You're here for life. We're gonna drill down really hard into that helplessness aspect, huh? Whoa. Whoa. What? What? Are you kidding? A place you've never been. Putting you into a frame where you gotta get up off the mat, huh? Whether you want to or not, you're a boxer against life, huh? Hi, Sachi. Huh, all three of us, eh? Oh, buddy, that's very nice of you. It's very nice of you. We're gonna have a scene of him walking away and be like, oh, fuck. Yeah, you chill, little one. No need to worry your little heart about this. Ha ha ha. Good morning, Nogiku Island. How's everybody doing this morning? How are we feeling? Feeling ready, bright and ready to greet the day? Chipper and eyes full of starlight? Maybe some forced labor? Or is it just torture o'clock? Where could he... Oisho. Where could he be? Oh, hi. Oh. King Futon. Are they in a pile? Huh? In a pile. Oh. Joe, how did you accomplish this? What the fuck? Hehehe. What? I think his place is kicking your ass. We have a follower. We have a follower. I wonder how long Nishi's gonna be around. Ah! Darn, we're not gonna have time to torture the boy. We were gonna try. There's a difference. How about you do it? How about you do it, motherfucker? This is wild. Wild. There we go. Oh, Nishi. Yeah. This isn't about the thing being done. No, let him fight it out. It's the way it's going. It's the way it has to go. Oh. Okay. Okay. That's really cool. Oh, we're all totally good. Yee. Good prisoners, good boys and girls. Fuck. Now you're dead. Not much reform happening here. Just learning to exist in a group of people with ill intent. Oh, buddy, you're gonna be here for a while. Aww. That's new. Vibes. Vibes. Is he the one in the OP? He's got a theme song. Holy shit, it is! Treasure Planet guy? Ashita! Oh, I saw his name is. I don't know. I guess we'll find out as the title for the next episode, so that's great. I just need the OP in my brain. You know there's one scene that we're talking about in this episode, right? And you know what scene it is. Tatsunda Joe! Welcome to prison. But we're not going to talk about that at the start. We need to talk about prophetic dreams. Let's start with the easy ones. Sachi and the old man share a dream of Joe being beaten to death. That's exactly accurate to the situation, right? But it's implied that it's Joe's dream. Maybe it isn't. Maybe I'm wrong. But it's implied that it's Joe's dream. I've been asking for moments of envisioning, a moment that pulls Joe through toward the future. And we've gotten hints of it before. But this was stark and fascinating. At a low point, dropped down, unconscious, there's a vision of the same type of situation framed as a boxer. A moment that could be like a literal future, but serves more as a calling to, as a reframing. You're down on the mat, Joe. You need to get up. But you're still here in prison. You're still in this place. It's just a reframing. You're already in the ring. The fight began before the bell rang, right? The bell rang at his birth is kind of the idea. Fuck, Joe's guts. Oh, God. Oh, my God, Joe is guts. That's entirely not true. Wait, does that mean we're about to meet Griffith? Wait, that's entirely not true. It doesn't make any sense. It's not accurate. Let me take that idea and please let me throw it away. Get out of my brain. Blech. The bell rang when he was born, though. There's this ongoing fight that is his life, and he just hasn't entered the place where the battlefield is visible, where it has rules, where it's bound by logic. It's just he's always in the battlefield. He's always boxing. Fuck, Joe's been boxing from episode 1. So maybe what we need for Joe is just to realize that he's a boxer. Going back to what I said about, like, what do we need? It's an outlet, a channel, a place that's his, a place that he belongs. And the answer is on his ass, covered in blood, in the ring, getting back up is where Joe belongs. Nailed. It's right fucking on. Darkness. I wanna watch it. I wanna hear it. What's that brrrr noise? It's almost like a helicopter. Big jeering crowd at his voice. Joe, get up, Joe. Joe, keep going, Joe. He's reaching out, and then that hand is his hand. Suddenly there's an inexplicable spiritual element to everything. The characters having dreams, there's this mystical layer of, like, fate and destiny and should and connection across stuff that it changes the vibe of the show. It changes the vibe. It becomes almost religious, almost mythological in its context. The fate of this character affects the dreams, the minds of these other characters around him. This is such a striking scene. Suddenly we're there. But it's when he's unconscious. It's a piece of him that doesn't come to the surface. It's latent. So that's what we want, is for it to be drawn out of him, for him to become. Okay. Much of the rest of the episode is pretty straightforward. We arrive at the prison. The prisoners are bad guys. Expected. The warden and people seem to be honestly doing their job fairly well, but hands off mostly. Okay. Pretty straightforward. Nishi becoming a true follower and true believer is kind of where I expected this to go, but I don't know that I expected him to become so firm in it It's pretty cool. It's really interesting, and I wonder how that'll evolve. But then there's the violence sequence, and like the Twisted Stick sequence, it stands out a lot. Had to focus in right on the dream sequence because it's incredible, and I think it changes the nature of the story fundamentally. Then there are the sort of end caps of the episode, stuff happening at the beginning, stuff happening at the end. Just makes sense to me, coherent, conveys what it needs to effectively. And then there's the violence sequence in the middle, which is like, now we're in art film, and it's really interesting how we're gonna display this. It's really fucking neat. So let's focus in on it, and let's go find our sequence of violence. So we build up to it, and there's a lot of familiarity between this and the initial like cackling faces and eyes and stuff of the original holding cell situation. Some close up, subtle but creepy facial expressions, and then the weird chant that's almost like a mantra, like a Namu Amida Butsu, but with no religious context, I think is what's going on. It's just like, you're gonna die, you're gonna die, you're gonna die. The light goes off. The voice actors across the board put in wild, creepy performance. Oyasumi. So creepy. We drop to darkness, and then we open eyes in the darkness, and then it's just darkness in the windows. The rain outside, the water, the waiting, and then this shifting sea of shapes. Done outlineless, like Kaganashi, shadowless style. Beautiful in their weird bubbliness. Looks like it's all repeated. Yeah, okay, so it's one set that's moving across of the same character over and over. But that's fine. In the moment, I couldn't tell. That shifting sea of people, it becomes abstract. It's no longer something that my mind can really grapple with. It's just incoming dread. I think it's really powerful. There's great power in horror film to not showing stuff, to showing things blurrily or in darkness. Letting your mind fill in the gaps makes things much scarier than they would be if you could see them clearly. In the light is knowledge, and in the darkness are the scary things. And our mind works that way. You provide darkness, and your mind can populate it with darkness. We set the stage so perfectly with darkness, impending fear, we know bad is coming, and then odd shapes in the night. Wow, I approve. I'm also reminded a little bit of some of the sequences in a wonderful film, Angel's Egg. There are sequences when we enter into this sort of city that's got weird fisherman populations running through it, where we get individual people acting as collectives, almost like squads or swarms of fish, and they sort of blend all together into units, into weird flows in the same different and same way as this. They're very different sequences, but they create something similar, which is an oddity and a distance from the things that are actually happening in the scene that makes them ephemeral and scary and weird. I think it's really great. And then the noise that we use, we've got like a bunch of like heavy punch noises and then echoes on them, so they go go, and all the screams are done like that too. So it's like hard to tell what's happening. And there's a world where this is a different scene. We go to darkness, we hear thwack, 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 and we cut, and it's Joe standing, tattered clothes in the moonlight, right? Honestly, pretty similar to what happened in the holding cell. 20 dudes, Joe, big fight. Okay, Joe's the winner. Why here is it the other thing? Why is it a loss? It serves us to have him lose here, to have him beaten down here. Why? Well, what do we need from Joe? We need him to never lose his Joe-ness, but we need him to change. How do we do that? I don't know. Maybe we put him into a pressure cooker and then we have him not come out cooked, you know? Like, him deny the laws of reality. You put me in a painful situation and I come out stronger. Give him the Nelson Mandela treatment. Here's a bunch of torture and torment. Here's imprisonment unjustly and all this jazz, and you come out stronger and more affirmed in your ideas. I don't know. It's because we're not building Joe to be our hero right now. He's missing some things. He's missing boxing as a framework for his violence and his ability to deal with it, because it's the perfect stage for him to have this resilience and this will to fight back. It's the perfect stage for him. He's a boxer inherently. He's missing that, and I think because he's being introduced now, he's missing a rival, somebody to work against, somebody worthy of working against, because Joe treats everyone else that he's ever met. Actually, that's so critical. Joe treats everyone else that he's ever met with contempt. Nobody's as good as him. Nobody understands the world the way that he does. He's got some edge on everybody. I think that's why whenever somebody seems like they've got a bead on him, they what's her name? Sachiko. The wealthy lady says some things that actually call Joe out, and then every time that happens, he does something unpredictable and fucked up, as though to say, you can't define me, you can't control me. Huh. I think by doing that, by staying like in that you don't really know me space, he can stay detached and stay above, stay contemptuous, and hold others in contempt. Because he's got contempt for Danpei, he's got some degree of contempt for all the kids, he's got contempt for the wealthy, he's got contempt for the Yakuza, he's got contempt for the cops, he's got contempt for Nishi as weak, he's got contempt for all of the other prisoners that he's met. And he won't learn respect by having it beaten into him. That's just going to inflame him more. Huh. Okay. Yeah. I want to mention it because it's important and it's interesting, but I don't really have cohesive ideas around it. Nishi's turn from top of the food chain bully to being terrified that the exact same torment is going to be leveraged against him is really interesting. And then the conversion of him into a lowly follower who's also able to do the not cool stuff, like calling the teacher when the bullies are hitting you and stuff. It's a really interesting place for the character, and I'm not sure how it fits into my view on the show yet, but I'm excited to see where it goes. And then there is somebody staring at you with crazy eyes and the jawline of a god and a nose that looks like it's been broken once or twice. Good golly, Miss Molly, who the fuck are you? And, are you this guy? Are you punching my boy in the opening? No, right over here. Is that you? Because I think that's your jawline, my guy. I think that's the jawline of a god. So is that guy this guy? I think that guy's this guy. I think we're about to have a rivalry. Look, sports rivalries are the shit. They turn a piece of shit character who doesn't have anything to do into somebody with a motivation to beat that guy. I don't know how this is going to play out. I don't know what's going to make him an effective rival. I wonder if he's going to be more likable than Joe. He's handsome. He's sitting peacefully at a table, not beating on people. It's a good start. I wonder how fucking old he is. He looks like he's 35, and he's in a juvenile detention center. Maybe his mental age is 15. There is some kindness in that smile. Maybe it comes from being a little simple. No, I don't think so. I think... Who would you write as a perfect foil for Joe? I was thinking about it in the context of the guy that Dompe was training earlier. Somebody who kind of has it all, right? And doesn't really care. Maybe. I don't know. Somebody from privilege, you know, who sees Joe as not worthy, maybe. Maybe somebody who's just as good as he is. But what personality do you attach to that to make a compelling argument between them that can last the course of history, you know? This is a really important aspect of the show now. Introduction of this boy. Who are you, Mr. Man? How are you going to change our Mr. Boy into who he's going to be? I don't know. We'll have to find out as we move along in Ashita no Joe, but that's a very exciting development. I think that brings us to a wrap for what I want to talk about this episode. So I will say thank you so much for joining me for it. I hope you enjoyed whatever this was. This face is drawn by the same guy who does the like wistful Joe looking off into the distance faces, isn't it? I'm just finding myself being drawn into it and like, wow, there's there aren't details on him, and yet there's such expressiveness. There's so much that I can sink into and be like, who are you? Who are you? What's behind those eyes? What a crazy thing that a still image can belie so much unconscious information. I wonder if over the course of the week that spans this episode and the next, my own dreams will turn in an interesting direction around Joe, or my own subconscious will be able to ingest and consume it and digest it in an interesting way. I wonder if next week I'll have different thoughts about this episode and the way that it plays out than I do now. Almost certainly. I wonder what those will be. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to like watch things that way and to share them and to have a record of it going back. It makes the whole experience so cool. All right, I think I'm going to wrap there. Thanks so much for watching Joe with me. I'll see you next week for more Joe. Happy Thanksgiving if you're in the US, and happy take some time to be grateful for stuff if you're anywhere. It's worthwhile as a practice to do. I'm really grateful for this, and I'm grateful for these pieces of media to connect to across decades and across time and space. It's incredible. Thanks for joining and connecting with me. Much love. Peace.